I have chosen the 5th shlok of the 8th chapter, 8th Adhyaay, and I will chant it as usual. Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah. He who departs from the body, thinking of me alone, even at the time of death, attains my state. There is no doubt about it. It's probably one of the most useful shlokas in the entire Bhagavad Gita, because it tells you the technique of reaching your final goal. The main cause of the fear that most people have is the unknown factor of what will happen to us after death. If we knew for sure, I think nobody would be afraid of dying. So in this shlok, and also the next 5 shloks, Bhagavan is clearly explaining to us how to eliminate this uncertainty of what is going to happen to me after I die. If you follow his instructions, he says, you can attain my state. That means you can merge with me. So how is that possible? Bhagavan explains that the last thought that you have at the time of death will decide your gati after death. And moreover, he's not just making a statement, he's giving you a guarantee. He says, there is no doubt about it. There is no doubt, it's a guarantee. It's coming from Bhagavan's mouth. Now there is one very important word there. He doesn't say, thinking of me alone at the time of death. He says, thinking of me alone even at the time of death. Even. That means you have spent your entire life thinking of Bhagavan, and then even at the time of death, you are thinking of Bhagavan. So that means this is a lifelong sadhana. You cannot think that you'll just live your entire life eating, drinking, and being merry, and then at the time of death, you'll think about Bhagavan, but Bhagavan will not come in your mind at that time. Bhagavan will only come in your mind as a default setting if you have created that default setting in your entire lifetime. So your death and what happens to you after death, your afterlife, it's in your own hands. And it's comforting to know that, because now I have the responsibility of how I live my life and how I die. There is no uncertainty. There is nobody making some arbitrary decision sitting at the pearly gates of heaven. It's in my hands. So I can decide if this is my goal where I want to go, then this is how I have to live my life. And this is how I have to be in the last minute of my life when my breath leaves the body, when my Atma leaves the body. But those people who do not want to take responsibility of leading a correct life, and therefore they will lose their responsibility or power over how they have their afterlife, for them, this knowledge may be a cause of great concern. So let's see. What are the 5 action points that I require to keep in my mind to ensure that I get the highest sadgati? That means I attain the state of Brahma. after death. 1. And I said, this is a lifelong sadhana. 1. Do all your actions as your duty. Do not involve emotions and feelings in your actions. Do it as your duty with no expectation of any return. 1. 2. Be in constant connection with Bhagavan. And there is a simple way of doing that, Nam Smaran. Whatever you're doing, let that be the background score in your mind. You may be doing any work, but that background score of thought of Bhagavan should continue. Only then, at the time of death, will that name come on your lips. 3. Understand the difference between Sat and Asat. This requires some swadhyay, this requires satsang. So understand the difference and the correct use of the intellect. If you have the correct use of the intellect, you will immediately be able to distinguish between Sat, truth, and Asat, what is not the truth. 4. Make correct choices in your life so that you move towards Sat rather than Asat. Move towards Brahma rather than move and get entangled in Jagat, in Sansar. And 5, most important, be a continuous sadhak. Who is a sadhak? A sadhak is one who always does sadhana. So be a continuous sadhak, continuously doing sadhana. Which sadhana? All the 4 things that I mentioned before. Even if you think you have reached your goal, you can never give up. If you can do this, then Bhagavan is guaranteeing you, not me. Bhagavan is guaranteeing you that you will attain the highest state, which is the purpose of human life. More tomorrow.